Black Clover is back with more madness and mayhem. Yami achieves double union with a supreme being, while Yuno and Asta unlock fusion. The color spread for Black Clover Chapter 384, titled Inspire Spirit, features a bunch of our characters enjoying the summer while traversing by various means. Asta made his triumphant return and managed to save Mimosa. From there, Leo's flames consumed the enemies. He was happy to see Asta back on his feet. The short swordsman felt the same way, and thanked his friends for their help. Longris, Kirsch, Finral, and Charmy were all smiling, but Libe apologized to Asta for faltering. He froze up against Lucius when he saw their mom again. Asta simply told him to shake it off. Leo was all fired up and ready for more action. Kirsch was amazed by Leo's growth, so he had to compliment his cousin. Finral decided that they would go help out the ground forces, something that his brother Longris found to be admirably brave of him. That's when someone else entered the scene and was also glad to see Asta's return. It was Noelle. She was impressed by Asta's survival and decided to compliment him. Then she started eating some of Charmy's food to replenish her mana. Asta called out to Mimosa before leaving. He promised her that he'd come back alive. Mimosa already knew that he would, and promised to await his return. Noelle finished her meal and told Asta that it was time for them to go. Asta agreed as his power surged. They shot up. Noelle flew ahead of him with her Valkyrie armor, Black Dragon form. Noelle could see enemies up ahead, so she gave Asta a heads up. The monstrous trifecta was eager for conflict. Noelle told Asta to go on ahead while she takes care of them. Meanwhile, there was mass destruction in the land of the sun. In the ruins of the Shogun's abode, Daizemon, Komari, and Genojo Morifuyu of the Ryuzen 7 were all laid out, and at the center of it all, their lord was being held up by his throat. Lucius explained that thanks to Ultra Gargantuan magic, he's able to remotely control the bodies of his guardian angels. Although this body wasn't exactly him, Lucius acknowledged the fact that he and Ryuya Ryudo were finally able to meet face to face. As someone without magic whose future Lucius couldn't see, the man had been an issue for a while. That said, Lucius couldn't help but wonder why the Shogun had gone to such lengths to support Asta. Ryuya thought about it. He explained that getting access to the Tengensu came at the cost of all his mana. It wasn't as if he had regrets about it, but the path was more difficult than he expected. Ryuya couldn't shake the feeling that he would have to give up on his dream and the promise he made to his best friend. To get away from such thoughts, he searched all over the world for Yami. Then, one day, he saw a boy without magic in another country. Seeing as he could relate to the kid's condition, he decided to keep an eye on him. That kid was actually born without magic and was a commoner, so his path seemed to be even harder than Ryuya's. But the kid never gave up. He worked hard and didn't shy away from any challenges. Eventually, that kid came into contact with the man Ryuya had been searching for. He kept getting stronger so he could protect others and continued to climb. His opponents were overwhelmingly strong, and he almost died countless times. But he saved others, they saved him, and he kept fighting. Ryuya has been watching Asta for most of his life, and seeing his growth gave the Shogun enough strength and courage to fight with all his might. Which is kind of a creepy and unsettling concept, but whatever. The one that Ryuya, no, the one that they all support isn't Lucius Zogratis. He mocked the nefarious plotter for masquerading as a divine being. Lucius smiled and lamented the fact that the new world would have no need for a shogun. It was time to end him. But that's when Yosuga emerged from the rubble with a demented smile and readied weapon. He lopped off the guardian angel's head in an instant. It seemed to him that this Lucius fellow wasn't able to impress their shogun. The Clover Kingdom was still an active battlefield. Lucius reeled back a magically empowered fist. He admitted that Yuno was the ultimate opponent, but unfortunately for him, his anti-magic had almost totally run out. Yuno readied his sword. He agreed with the tyrant. He was ready to use the last of it with one more attack. Lucius's eyes widened. Black meteorite! The extremely speedy attack managed to cut Lucius across the face. But unfortunately, Yuno wasn't able to get the job done. And without anti-magic, he had to let go of Demon Dweller. Yet suddenly, there was a streak of anti-magic. As the separated head fell before him, Ryuya made it clear that the one they all support is Asta. The fatal flaw has returned to the fight. He shouted an apology for making Yuno wait so long. The prodigy complained and said that this whole waiting for Asta routine is getting pretty old. Lucius's expression became peculiar. Yuno asked the fraudulent king if his inability to control Asta really bothers him that much. As yet again, Lucius summoned a certain someone. With Paladin Lechita at his side, the villain wondered if Asta and Libe would be able to cut their mother down. Yuno cursed him for using the same underhanded tactic again, but as he drew Demon Dweller, Asta let his brother know that it's alright, a sentiment that he needed to be confirmed by his other brother, Libe. The devil agreed. He remembered the brotherly oath he swore to Asta, along with their shared intention to live happy lives. The lives that their mother gave everything to protect. He would fight for Asta and for himself. As in an instant, they were able to defeat her. With a shaded expression, Asta thanked Yuno for the assistance of his star magic as her form shifted. Yuno remained silent. From there, it was back to the man responsible. Lucius's expression was impassive, but Asta's eyes were thrumming with fiendish power as he told the monster to prepare himself. Because this is the final battle! Chapter 385, titled Foolish Gambler, begins with Yuno and Asta repelling a chain-based onslaught from Lucius. They followed Lucius into an ornate cathedral. Beautiful stone pillars were sliced apart as the two trailed after their target. Lucius incorporated defensive sword swings into the sequence. He blocked their twin attacks with perfect timing. As they reeled, Lucius seized the opportunity. He broke through the ornate glass in pursuit of Asta, but the Black Bull caught his footing on a wall before jutting to the side in an instant. Lucius couldn't reroute and crashed down hard as Asta and Yuno planted their feet on the side of the very same wall. In an instant, the three fighters clashed yet again. The impact boomed throughout the kingdom. Asta and Libe, Yuno and Sylph. They were all locked in and on the verge of something greater. They launched up after Lucius. The rivals were forcing one another to continue leveling up and moving even faster. Lucius could sense that their power was resonating on a deeper level. When they struck his guard again, it was clear that they were also getting stronger. Lucius's cool expression was becoming harder and harder to maintain. Elsewhere, the Supreme Devil Adramelech was observing the various fights going on. Medeo Leona versus Seraphim Asir Silva, the research team and elves versus the Guardian Angels, and the Diamond Kingdom's forces versus Seraphim Morris. The devil couldn't stop smiling. Seraphim Morgan unleashed a destructive light show. It was taking everything Yami, Noct, and Ichika had just to dodge the many beams. There was no way they could get anywhere near him with attacks like that. Suddenly, the trio received a casual greeting from Adramelech. Noct grew fearful at the sight of the Supreme Devil who'd been staying out of the fighting until now. The monster had something to say. He asked if they wanted him to help them out. Noct was confused. Addy proposed that he would possess Yami since he's a user of dark magic. After all, being sacrificed to open the gate of the underworld made Yami perfectly suited for devilish possession. Yami hesitated. He asked the devil why he would help them out. Addy scratched the back of his neck and worked up a response. With a sinister smile and wide eyes, he concluded that humans are just way more interesting. He admitted to being fascinated ever since they fought Lucifero. Lucius really forced him into a corner there. But even so, they've been holding out against him. They didn't have any chance at winning. But they just kept going. Adramelech struggled to explain the feeling of exhilaration he feels when watching them struggle. He complained about Lucius being too predictable for his tastes. Following the desperate underdogs sounded way more fun. Noct was wide-eyed with disbelief as Yami began to chuckle. With a big smile, he liked the odds enough to take the gamble. And just like that, Yami becomes the first human to host a Supreme Devil. The main event was still raging on. Asta and Yuno refused to give the Wizard Emperor even a moment of rest. Telepathically, Lucius inquired about Adrammelac's betrayal. The troublemaking devil responded that the world wouldn't be much fun if Lucius ends up winning. And we can see that his speech bubbles have also changed shape. With their bond in place, Yami was surprised by the nature of his new partner's magic. Adrammelak admitted that it's not all that devilish, but urged the human to make good use of it. Now leading the Darkness Trio, Yami told them to hit the monster with everything they've got. As they move together as one, we're told that the blacker shadows and darkness are, the brighter the light shines. A beam of light emerged from the center of the dark abyss. Adrammelac's power is light magic powerful enough to destroy the paladins, as according to him, it would take a devil to fight an angel. Ichika called out to her brother. Yami charged ahead of the pack. In one hand, he had a sword of darkness. In the other, a sword of light. Twin slashes of light and dark raked across the monster's flesh. And just like that, the divine enemy was defeated and faded away. Chapter 386, titled Voltage, began with Mereoleona's triumph over Seraphim Asir. She coolly stated that she doesn't know any monsters like her opponent. The abomination of her former mentor echoed the very same sentiment. Overhead, the fiery mage could see the many clashes of Asta and Yuno's fight against Lucius. The villain elevated in a rush as a means of escape. He complained about the current state of their battle. It was time to clear the board. Maybe Asta and Yuno could survive his next attack, but would the civilians be so lucky? All manner of attack spells coalesced. Asta and Yuno paused. The people of the Clover Kingdom watched in horror as an orb of power formed overhead. Civilians all over lost their breath as they looked up at impending doom. The false idol welcomed humanity to a new and happier life. Gargantuan ultimate magic! United forces! Asta and Yuno were in trouble. If they tried to stop the attack, Lucius would use the opportunity to attack them. But even so, it wasn't as if they could just let it hit the ground. The voice of a ferocious captain told them to focus on fighting Lucius. Fuegoleon has finally mastered the power of Salamander the Fire Spirit. He's finally unlocked Spirit Dive, and is now alongside his mana-form sister. They unleashed an intercepting pillar of flames at the gargantuan amalgam. The siblings pushed it as far as they could. Unfortunately, they still didn't have enough firepower to win. But there was someone else standing in the middle of countless petals. The Vermillions called out to their youngest sibling, Leo. His eyes grew wide. Leo let them know that he was on his way. He rushed up towards them, the big brother and sister he always looked up to and tried to live up to. Finally, he could stand shoulder to shoulder with them. The Vermillions poured the entirety of their collective firepower into a single spell. A colossal pillar of flames, backed by true magic, spirit magic, and pure mana, broke into Lucius's spell. The pack of flaming lions roared against all odds until the disaster was destroyed. Asta and Yuno emerged from the ensuing fog. Lucius's eyes widened. The ever-improving duo resumed their deadly dance. The synergy between their powers continued to improve. They were undergoing some manner of true symbiosis. A new frontier. Fusion. Yuno and Sylph have become one. Asta and Libe have become one. And for once, Lucius looked disturbed. Their improvement was exponential. Wind Spirit Yuno and anti-magic devil Asta pushed the invader. this was a pretty enjoyable light show of power-ups and abilities. Very safe and typical shonen finale format, but it's still pretty fun. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.